Hello, Wellness Check Wednesdays community. We wanted to take a moment to remind you that while our podcast serves as a safe space for open discussions and sharing experiences, we are not mental health experts. This podcast is a platform for you to express your thoughts, feelings, and experiences in a judgment-free zone. Our aim is to foster connection, provide support, and create a sense of community. It's crucial to acknowledge that we are not a substitute for professional mental health advice or treatment. If you or someone you know is dealing with mental health challenges, we strongly encourage seeking guidance from qualified professionals. Remember, reaching out to mental health experts can make a significant difference. If you ever feel the need, don't hesitate to connect with a licensed therapist, counselor, or healthcare professional.
This is the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast, a share space, a judgment-free zone, a place to meet and discuss our mental health. So let's check in.
Well. Here we are once again on another wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. And this is a mental health awareness journey that we have embarked on we're going on a year and a half now. And this is episode 65 of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. So we do try our best each and every Wednesday to encourage all people in this world that we live in. Mental health awareness is important. We encourage you each and every Wednesday and each and every day that you need to always and forever.
Let's check in.
You should recognize my voice by now for those that have been with us on the program. For those that are new to the program, my name is Brian Livingston. I am the moderator of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. I'm thankful to be here to share this mental health journey with you. And we're going to go on a little trip and introduce one of the originators of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast by way of Cleveland, Ohio, my man Edwin Vereen.
What's up, man? I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Yesterday it was warm, so living up in Northeast Ohio, guess what the day is?
It's a little chilly up there.
Yeah, slightly chilly, man. But I don't mind it, man. It's not like bone rattling cold, but it's slightly chilly. But guess what's going to be tomorrow? It's going to be 73 and rainy. So I think by I'm not even gonna say May. I think by June, we'll get our summer in. But I just got the events list from the radio station, and boy, I'm gonna be on the move this summer. I'm gonna be active. I'm happy about the upcoming summer, and yeah, I'm just happy, bro. I'm just happy. Can't complain.
That's good to hear. Good to hear, man. I believe the high for here in Fayetteville is 87 degrees today.
Mm,
Let me see. I have not stepped outside yet. I need to touch some grass at some point in time.
mm.
In the crib doing some work. Busy today, and so that's why we were a little bit late on the recording. But man, oh man, I'm thankful. I'm excited, and oh yeah, this thing that we do each Wednesday, I'm glad to be a part of it. My other originator, Kevin Marshall, he is doing what he does with his landscaping business, and this man stays busy. So I wish him the best and everything, and we will catch up with him at another date. We're just gonna do this tag team style, Ed. And shout out to one of our mainstays, B3, my man Brad. He said it's the end of the month, so the job is especially demanding to finish out the month, going into the month of May. So we're finishing off this April as strong as we can. So wish them the best of luck. We will get with them the next go around. But yes, this week we want to cover something when it comes to our mental health that I know for a fact that I struggle with, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with this when it comes to differentiating self compassion and self criticism. Self
Mm-hmm.
compassion versus self criticism. So I I myself, I will say this, and it is a common phrase, so it's not something that I made up,
Mm-hmm.
but I am my own worst critic. I believe I hold myself to a higher regard than anyone else could ever do. And so when it comes to this topic itself, are there times where I'm overly critical of myself and could be a little bit more compassionate about the things that I am doing? And so if we're focused on self compassion versus self criticism, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think we live in a society in a day and age that from the outside, when we're speaking on others and things that are going on, we tend to lean toward the side of compassion just
Mm-hmm.
because we do want to spare people's feelings, because I just me being honest, I think feelings are a little bit more fragile nowadays as opposed to days of old. And I believe maybe that's a little bit more of a focus on, like, something we just don't show each other enough love, and there's been
Mm-hmm.
and so it's part of, I guess, goes along with the anti-bullying movement and stuff of that nature, where we want to uplift people, um, and and so we're very hesitant to criticize others, but when it comes to ourselves, again, it's just we are much harder on ourselves, and sometimes maybe we don't need to be. And so just to open that topic up, and I would like for you, if you could, just I'm gonna pass the mic over to you to opine a little bit further on this topic that we have chosen on today.
All right, before we go any further, I want to send a big shout out to Miss Abiha Grant. She left us a nice comment in our comment section on Spotify, which if you're listening on Spotify, watching on Spotify, please feel free to rate, review, subscribe, and shout out to her and her podcast, Reflection by Abiha, where she talks about her mental health journey as well too. It was a great conversation. So yeah, look at us mental health podcasters getting together, talking and networking and everything. So yeah, check out her podcast, check out our podcast, and just continue to do what you do. All right, be live. With that being said, of course, I have some reading. All right. So, you talked about self compassion versus self criticism. All right. So, real quick, here's my little monologue. We all make mistakes, face setbacks, and fall short sometimes. The difference in how we respond can shape our mental health. Self criticism tells us we're not good enough, that failure defines us. It fuels anxiety, depression, and low self esteem. But self compassion, I've been doing that all day. Self compassion offers a better path. It means treating ourselves with the kindness we'd offer a friend. It says, yes, this is hard, and it's okay to feel that way. Research shows self compassion strengthens resilience, reduces stress, and builds emotional well being. It's not about ignoring flaws, it's about acknowledging them with care instead of cruelty. So the next time you stumble, ask yourself, am I tearing myself down or lifting myself up? And so, Be Live, I had a chance to do some reading and research, and the following shout out to AI because they did help me get this together. But as always, I always check my sources, and the information I've garnered comes from selfcompassion.org. The article is entitled Self Compassion and Self Criticism. It says risk and reward, and also The Happiness Doctor, self comparison or self criticism, which motivates you more. So, real quick, here it is. Self comparison and self criticism represent opposing approaches to self talk, significantly impacting emotional well being and motivation. Self criticism involves harshly judging oneself, leading to feelings of inadequacy and negativity. Self compassion, conversely, involves treating oneself with kindness, understanding, and acceptance. especially when facing challenging imperfections. So some example of self-criticism goes as follows. Negative self-criticism, negative emotions, it leads to feelings of guilt, shame, self-pity, and depression. Motivation can be a temporary motivator, but is often unsustainable and can lead to decreased self-confidence and reduced motivation over time. It also has an impact on relationships. It may lead to difficulty in forming healthy relationships and building trust in others. How it affects mental health. It can be linked to various mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. An example: I'm so stupid for making that mistake, or I'm lazy because I didn't finish that project. On the other side, self-compassion. Positive emotions, feelings of warmth, care, and self acceptance, which are associated with greater emotional resilience and well being. Motivation. More effective and sustainable motivation allows for greater resilience and perseverance when facing challenges. The impact on relationships help build stronger helps build stronger, healthier relate. You know how sometimes you read something and the word kind of get ahead. That's how I'm at. But it's all good. It's all good though. I'm not perfect, okay? I'm not gonna beat myself up for it. Impact on relationships helps in building stronger, healthier relationships by fostering empathy and understanding. How it impacts the mental health can help manage anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues by fostering a more positive and balanced perspective. Examples: it's okay, we all make mistakes. I'll learn from this and try harder next time. Or I'm human and I have my limitations. I'm going to be kind to myself. In essence, self criticism is harsh and often destructive form of self talk, while on the other hand, self comparison offers a more nurturing, supportive approach to self regulation. Okay, B Lab. So since we talked earlier, self compassion versus self criticism. As you know, a lot of people tell you that they are their own worst critic, biggest critic. When it comes to being a critic, a lot of times we worry about what other people say, but in hindsight, we also worry about what we say as well too. Because to steal a phrase from Randy Orton, I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They talk to me. They talk to me. Um, it's a form of self talk, and like for example, like self criticism, where with me working with the radio station, doing the radio, doing the video side of things for the high school football or high school sports, sometimes looking like, well, damn, I didn't cut out fast enough, or damn, I didn't do this, or oh, I didn't hit the button fast enough, and I gotta be better. I gotta be better. Like, come on, man, you've been doing this how long? And kind of compounded on myself. But then I give myself that self compassion. But look, make notes, write it down, and take what you have on the notes and apply it to the next stream that you do. Just like, whenever I'm putting together our podcast. Oh, well, I didn't want this to go too long or that to go too long or that doing. I'm like, just don't expect perfection because we're imperfect individuals. We're imperfect human beings. We all want everything to be perfect. We want everything to be a perfect world. We want everything to go exactly how we want it, when we want it, without a hitch. But guess what? That's not reality. That's not reality no whatsoever. So you know, what I've learned through my Christian background and being in church, I've learned that two important things that you must give to yourself as well as other people: grace and mercy. There's some times where I know that, a matter of fact, I kind of had not a reality check, but a conversation with somebody to be like, I'll tell you the other part of this conversation because you're gonna be like, man, come on, man.
Mm.
There are times where, I lack giving empathy and I lack giving mercy and I lack giving grace to other people. And it's kind of like, all right, Ed, that thing that you want, you have to make sure you give it in return. Don't be so critical. Don't be so this. Don't be so that. Instead, just find out the why. Why is it like this and why is it like that, as opposed to just being overcritical and over everything. So I just have to, sometimes I really have to sit myself down and it's like, okay, bro, you're not perfect. Just like I said, the first year we did the video live stream, everything that did happen, everything that could happen, it did happen. And so last year I was like, okay, well, you remember when this happened and this happened and this happened? make sure revert back to the year before and try not to repeat it again. And then whatever happened this year, I'm going to jot it down and take it to this upcoming athletic season. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and just not to don't hold the standard too high as to where you can't grasp it. Just hold the standard high, but close enough to where you can grab it and actually, feel the standard. So that way it's just okay. That way is I'm not too hard on myself. I've granted myself grace and mercy. I know things take time, and it's just not being so hard on yourself because I wrote in a song a while back. I was like, so hard on myself because I want to be better. Well, what does that entail of? Okay, you're being hard on yourself. You want to make sure you're self-motivated. Want to make sure you push yourself. And there's times, be live, I need the motivation, and there's sometimes I don't. And then sometimes the motivation comes from out of the least expected place. And so I just tell myself, hey man, just understand you're human. Sometimes you might need that little kick in the arse, and sometimes you might need to spark yourself. But all in all, try your best. I tell myself, Ed, try your best not to be so tough on yourself and beat yourself up. Because what is it going to do? You're going to be sad. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be in your head. It's going to take you a day to get over it. So just give yourself some grace and mercy.
I like the way, especially grace and mercy, because grace and mercy, God's grace, God's mercy,
Mm-hmm.
we don't deserve. You know,
No.
I always think of that. It's like, man, if it wasn't for God who was on our side, where would we be? And things like that. And I'm very thankful for His blessings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful. When it comes to how I hold myself, on the other hand, I find myself at times, I'm like, yo, bro, you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially, I mean, there's times, especially in the creative world, where you run into a mental block, and you're like, what do I do? How do I make this better? How do I make a bigger impact? And then you just like, and then you run into a brick wall at times. Oh, I don't know what to do, and it's like, and you just like, am I cut out for this? Can I do this? And then you start doubting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you become especially critical, because like you just, I mean, we live in a results driven world when it comes to, especially when it comes to the creative side of things. When it comes to stuff like that, we look at measurables, we look at numbers, we look at impact, we look at interactions, we look at those things, and like, as a form of justification of doing what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try my best to not give myself any breaks. Like, as far as like, yo, there's no being lackadaisical. There's no getting complacent. There's no, that you can't just get comfortable, because there's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, everything has to have balance.
Yeah.
Like, you have to give yourself a little bit of a leeway when it comes to, especially when it comes to your mentals. Like
Mm-hmm.
physical, um like, if you're doing, like, when it comes to like working out and stuff like that, you always want to continue to push yourself to the limits of yourself. Mental, your mind will break down, just like even in the physical. Like, if you do too much, your body will break down. So there has to be balance. Like, you can't just lift
Mm-hmm.
in terms of working out, and not give your body a chance to recover, to recoup, because you just keep lifting, and you're not taking, like, water intake, taking a break, breathing properly, stuff like that. You will break down, and it will end up being counterproductive. And you've even seen it in your best bodybuilders. I'm using that reference for no reason, because but if you look at me, I ain't got my workout regimen is non-existent. I need to do better. Being self-critical of myself, I see myself in the mirror. But uh, I use that because I've seen people that work out, and all this stuff. They work out to the point where their body's like, it crashes on them, and now they can't work out, and then the body just breaks down right in front of them, and it's like all that work you just put in, you overexerted yourself, and now you've crashed out, and
Mm-hmm.
you lose the results that you had. The mind works the same way. You keep pushing, pushing, pressing, pushing, criticize, 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 and then next thing you know, you overwhelm yourself, and then you start come crashing down, crumbling down because your mind can only take and do but so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll admit at times, and it's rough. I've done that to myself numerous times where I am because I strive like I don't do anything. I don't do anything half-ass. I whole ass everything.
Mm-hmm. That's such funny whole I
I
like how you say
whole.
that.
I don't half-ass anything. I whole ass.
Oh,
But
he put a whole arse in it.
yeah, man. But yeah, it's
Uh,
this is a good one because like we we're programmed. We see it in front of us all the time where cream rises to the top. In order to be the best, you got you. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. You know, stuff like that.
yeah.
In a ultra competitive world, you always strive to be better than the next. And you when you slipped up on the term when you said self comparison,
Mm,
but I don't think that it's a slip of tongue at all because that is a very important word because we find ourselves comparing ourselves to the next person,
mm,
and we're like, oh well, then how can I want to achieve this level of success? I was talking to friend of mine. I didn't even know, but he just came back from WrestleMania and showed me pictures of where he was seated at and all the amenities that he had. He has MGM Grand and doing all these big things, and I'm over here like, that's nice.
yeah.
The way my bank account is set up, and yeah, he, but I mean, he's worked hard for what he's got and everything like that. And
Mm,
life circumstance, everything like that. I am very fortunate, and hey, the next trip when he's trying to go to Vegas, I'm trying to go because he's got amenities, and
yeah.
I enjoy amenities. But I I've maybe 10 years ago I may have been all types in my fields and everything. Now I'm like, hey, I want the next man to succeed. That's the that gives me a motivation in a different sense. I don't want somebody else's success to be a detriment to me. Like, oh man, I don't have
Right.
what he had. What am I doing wrong? Because I mean, you could take it and go many different directions.
Yeah.
I
And
Yeah, and essentially, I want to be more encouraging, compassion for myself. Like, hey, you can do this. It may take a little bit more time, but you can do this, as opposed to, oh, woe is me, why I don't have something. So I work on it a lot myself, as opposed to stuff I can't do, as opposed to stuff that I'm unable to do right now.
mm,
Like
yeah.
I'll try
Oh,
my best not to say that I can't do anything anymore. It's like,
mm.
hey, at this moment in time, I'm unable to do so, but I'm going to work towards it.
And you know what, be like, I had to adopt that same mindset. Somebody said, stop saying can't and stop saying but. I don't know if you noticed, but as of late, I've been saying the word yet,
Mm,
yet, yet, and I've ingrained myself to say the word yet because but and can't live in my don't live in my. I believe it. I believe I'm the kind of person where if if you speak it, that's what it is. But I tell myself, like, you know, Ed, from a financial standpoint, and I just refuse to use the B word. I just will not. I can't even make myself say, it rhymes with choke.
mm.
I just refuse. I can't let myself say it because I'm like, because no, I'm not that, and I'm not
Right.
going to be that, and I'm not going to claim that. That's not. I just see how it just kind of irks me, kind of gets me.
Right.
I tell myself, hey man, just build, just keep going, and be like Marshawn Lynch say, be about your chickens, get your chickens right, get all that together, and I just have to keep pushing, keep moving forward. I was like, well, stop saying the word can't. I said, I'll tell you what, give me a year from now, and what I'll do is work hard, grind, bust my butt, and get from where I was, get from where I am now to where I want to be. Just like I told you, I'll tell the story again. I was at a friend's house. I was over there doing some work. The window was open. There was a cardinal. The cardinal came on the chair and was just chirping, 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 chirping. I'm like, I know you talk to me, man. What you want, man? And with the cardinal just chirping, 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 and then doing what it does is, like a lot of people, they say, that cardinals, they what do? Cardinals, they're sent as a messenger from God and help to give you clarification and everything. To those of you that believe that, just because I know some people that don't, like, oh, you talk about it. Hey, I'm talking about me. I ain't talking about you. Um, and ever since then in October, I just told myself, hey man, set yourself up good for 2025 so that way you can go in 2025 and not be surprised. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but my student loan debt, it got canceled. I was able to, you know, get another source of income. I find myself now not as reliant on one of these sources of income as I've been in the past, and I just feel like a constant growth, a constant elevation, and as to where I was last year, a few years ago, kind of I find myself now giving myself more self compassion than I have self criticism. And also to make a long story short, there's been a lot of people that's put their foot in my ass. I ain't gonna lie to
Mhm.
you. What you doing? When I hear that, what you doing? It reminds me of that conversation I had with my brother. Some 11 years ago when I started school, and I was like, oh well, I need to get together. So it's just grant yourself grace and mercy and do the best you can. And this goes to anybody, be like myself, you, or anybody. Do the best you can with what you have. That's what you have to do. You have to do the best you can with what you have, and then just go from there. You know what I'm saying?
And so yeah, like I said, I'm a big advocate. Like the reason why I hold myself to a high standard and a high regard is because I do know what I'm capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know people like I said, I still struggle with it because my expectation of myself may not actually meet reality at times when it comes to like what I hold myself to. But then
Mm-hmm.
I look back at the examples, I look back at like what I have been able to accomplish, even at the times of the limited resources and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, if I could do this with this, why can I not do this with this? Like I have a good grasp on what I'm capable of. Now it's just a matter of matching my ability
Mm-hmm.
to my standard,
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like there's certain things that I feel like there's a lot of things I know I can do better,
Yep.
and I just got to I got to take necessary steps, step by step,
Mm-hmm.
to achieve those things. Um, and then there's certain things that are outside of my purview for now,
Right.
but I'm preparing myself for success later. So like continue to hone my craft, continue to even certain things that I do that don't yield immediate results. And let me put that. I want to definitely opine on that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because something doesn't give you, and this is to myself and to all of our listeners,
I know you're going, preach. I know you're going. I know.
just
Ooh, I know you're going.
just because something doesn't give you immediate results, don't give up on that
Don't.
because we are in a society of instant gratification, and
Oof.
it is so detrimental. You see hopes and dreams just being crushed because you didn't get the exact response that you wanted right then and there. If that was the case, there's so many things that we would not see. when you put a seed into the ground, it doesn't become a tree overnight. It doesn't bear fruit overnight. So let it grow. I know, like, I know we're an impatient world, but there's certain things, it's and the greatest things take the longest time to grow. But once it is grown, it's the most beautiful thing on earth. Like, butterflies lay dormant for months in a cocoon for no one to see. But then when it does blossom, when it comes out, it's the metamorphosis is a real thing. It's beautiful, it's vibrant.
The
And
fruition, the
yeah,
fruition.
and so I when it comes to my critique of myself, I tell myself, this will come to pass. The work I'm putting in for the past X amount of years on specific projects that I'm working on still to this day, it will bear fruit. It's going to. I'm continuing down this path. I'm not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to give up on the hard work that I put in. I'm not going to give up on people that I've surrounded myself with that believe in it. And so those little things that you do right now to build a foundation for your future, don't give up on it just because you don't see it blossom just like that. Don't give
You
up on it.
you know what? Oh my God, be like, oh boy, you're preaching, boy, you're preaching. I'm so glad you said that, man, because there have been times that I've told you. Matter of fact, I've told you in another person's situation because they were close to the situation. I'm like, man, this person not seeing what I'm doing. They don't get it. They don't understand. And the thing about it is, this is you. This is yours. This is your wants, your dreams, your hopes, your desires. So to them, it won't make sense. It ain't gonna make sense, and it'll never make sense. It make sense to you. That's why you can't tell everything to everybody. And not saying that the person that you're telling the thing to, they don't have your best interest in mind. Maybe they have a different perception of it. But the thing about it is that perception doesn't line up with the actuality how you see it. And
Mm.
so you just have to make sure you stay steadfast, you know, you tighten up your bootstraps, keep your boots on the ground, as the song says, and you have to keep going, you have to keep pushing forward because a lot of times when, for example, like this person told me, you got to go in there, they don't handle it this way, and they say, no, boom, a position gets created. Boom, you start gaining momentum. Boom, things keep happening. The next thing you know, boom, things outside of that place, it keeps happening. It builds up, and I'm glad you really brought it up, Be Live, about planting that seed and watering it and nurturing it and watering it and nurturing it. Be Live, you've been there, you've been there from the giddy up. You see how long it took me to get from here, from being in Atlanta and being a journal, and doing the whole student thing to moving up here to the Cleveland area and then graduating, and you was there for the graduation, and then you've seen the progression of how it gets from here to here. And I want my progression to be a testimony and inspiration to you and anybody that's out there that's doing anything, because everybody they're so scared, like, oh well, I don't want to do this because I'm afraid to do this. Look, sometimes you got to roll the dice, you got to take that risk, you got to bet on yourself, and you got to make it happen,
Mhm.
because the last thing you want to do is like, man, you know what, I have a case of shoulda coulda woulda, man, I wish I would have did that. And that's one of, for me, that's one of the last things I want. I said I don't want to have a case of the shoulda coulda wouldas where I talked myself out of something, or
Right.
somebody talked me out of something, or something somebody said. I thought about it entirely too long, give it entirely too much space in my brain. I was telling myself, hey man, bet on you, grind, push, build, build, and just keep going. I'm sorry, be like, I'm sorry.
No, no, you,
You touch
you,
me. You touch me, my
no,
brother. You touch me in a
dude.
good way, brother. That was a touching
No,
testimony, be live.
no apologies at all, man. We in this together, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful. Like, and I need these weekly sessions with just to remind myself of these certain things. And so I'm just thankful to have this platform and to able to uplift myself as well as others. And with that being said, man, Zoom is like, all right, we're about to kick you out, bro. Y'all going too far. I'm not gonna play it. But this is another wonderful episode of the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. Self-compassion versus self-criticism. Give yourself that buffer. Everything's gonna be all right. And we remind each and every one of our listeners, subscribers, people watching our videos, whatever, always and forever. Let's
Let's
check
check.
in. Catch y'all next week.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. Please join us every week, Wednesdays on Zoom at 6 p.m., and join our Facebook group for updates and to participate. We care about your mental health, so let's check in.